Good evening, everyone. Well, welcome to the Lakeland Community College Alumni Hall of Fame Class of 2017 induction ceremony. My name is Nancy Guthrie, and I'm a past chair of the Board of Directors of the Lakeland Foundation. I have had the privilege to serve and be affiliated with the foundation since 2003, and it's been an amazing journey and relationship that I've had with Lakeland Community College and the foundation, and I've had the opportunity to witness so many of these alumni events. So congratulations to all of you. I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight. It's a very special evening, and I'd especially like to congratulate this year's inductees. There are 6 of you, which we're very pleased to announce. The first is Barb Caranci. Craig Freese. John Hamercheck. Diane Rado. Connie Snyder. And David Staker. We'll be applauding many times this evening for this outstanding group. The Alumni Hall of Fame was created for several reasons. First, we wanted to honor Lakeland graduates who have made a difference through their careers in the community and at Lakeland. Second, we wanted the community at large to know about the remarkable people who come through Lakeland and move on to achieve amazing things. And third, we want our current students to see that they too can achieve, that they too can excel in their careers and enhancing the quality of life in their communities and in giving back to Lakeland. Prior to our gathering here in the Wayne Roderhurst Performing Arts Center, the current members of the Hall of Fame and the 2017 inductees met. One of the topics discussed was the Alumni Hall of Fame Scholarship, which was initiated by our Hall of Fame members. Since its inception, they have raised over $14,000 for scholarships given to deserving Lakeland students. We, of course, welcome your donations so we can continue to make a difference in these students' lives. This year's scholarship recipient is Elizabeth Bracell. Elizabeth, back there. Elizabeth is a first-year student who intends to get her bachelor degree and work in the field of medical management. Elizabeth graduated from Wycliffe High School, where she won numerous academic awards and recognition for her volunteerism and fundraising. We welcome Elizabeth and her parents, Nancy and Chris, this evening. Finally, before we get into why we're all here today, I want to share with you the criteria for selection of inductees. First, nominees must be graduates of Lakeland Community College. Number 2, nominees must have graduated at least 10 years prior to the year in which they are nominated. Number 3, nominees must have a strong record of career success. And number 4, nominees must demonstrate a strong record of community involvement and leadership in community programs and/or a significant interest in and contribution to Lakeland and its programs. You'll notice in our program booklet that we've inducted 54 people to date, and tonight we'll add 6 new members. Each inductee will be introduced by a current Hall of Fame member of Lakeland Foundation board member. This year, we're also celebrating Lakeland's 50th anniversary, and with this class of inductees, we can truly see the impact of Lakeland graduates at the county level, across the region, our nation, and even across the globe. So let's get started, and congratulations to all of you and your families, and thank you to all of you for your support.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dana Dennis. I'm in the Hall of Fame class of 2006. And before I get into what I'm having the privilege to do is introduce Craig Freese here, I'd like to take a moment and just say that Lakeland Community College, and including everybody that comes to this campus every day, are dream makers. They have the privilege to come on campus and lead the mission of education. And it goes without saying that these special individuals take their work home. They think about the students, not only just when they're on campus, but when they're off campus. I don't think there's any occupation that could bring as much gratitude as being part of Lakeland Community College. The people on stage tonight that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame are special in their own way, in all of our own ways. There's thousands of other students that graduated from Lakeland that are doing very well for themselves. And it's because of the administration, the faculty, everybody that touches Lakeland Community College makes things possible. They are dream makers. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing Craig Freese. What's not in your pamphlet is some things I'm going to mention. First of all, Craig was the first sibling to achieve an associate degree. He was the first sibling to graduate with a bachelor's. He was always there for his siblings, whether he was a small boy and now. One interesting thing that Craig did when he was a young boy that was very interesting, there was an incident with a lot of bees. And Craig, being quite creative, the whole family's creative, he decided he's going to take out his bow and arrow. And he's going to shoot flaming arrows at the bees. I didn't know if you were successful or not.
I don't remember that. If I was or not.
Well, thank you. Okay, let's go on to really what Craig's been up to. Craig Freese graduated from Willoughby South High School and went on to earn an Associate of Arts at Lakeland in 1971 and a bachelor's from Thiel College in 1973. Craig is currently the Director of International Operations of Bottling Investments Group of Coca-Cola Company, working in countries all over the world. Craig's tenure at Coca-Cola, he has been responsible for company's information technology operations, ensuring the smooth and continual flow of Coca-Cola global bottling operations. Craig is also the founder of Aspire and chief software architect for Kidventory. He has sat on numerous advisory boards, advising on business and information technology related issues. Craig is passionate about making a difference in his community and children's lives, and has been a member of numerous nonprofits and boards that enrich the communities where he has lived and worked around the world, such as the Civic Music Association and the Horsemen's Quarter Horse Association. Craig and his wife of 44 years, Pat, have 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren. Now, let's just think about this. All through the Freese family lives, there's always been a very special person there. I would say the foundation of the family. And Craig's mother is here tonight. Ada. She's 92. What a wonderful lady. Craig, congratulations on your induction into the Lakeland Community College Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Dana. And thank you to the Lakeland Community Foundation for this very, very prestigious award. As he said, my past has been driven by my mother, who convinced me to actually come to Lakeland Community College. We barely made it out of high school without going through the Civil War. But I'll tell you, Lakeland Community College, actually once I started part-time. I decided that part-time wasn't going to get it. I went to it full-time. I was working with Lubrizol when I first started, and they took me on as I had time off, so they helped fund some of my education. But Lakeland Community College, back in the days when I went there, in 1969 to 71, we were out in Painesville, Ohio, which was nothing more than office buildings and small desks. But I'll tell you, the professors there were phenomenal. I took all of the courses required, took some electives, but I'll tell you, every one of the professors in my classes opened my eyes to different things in different disciplines, and it helped me clear my mind as to what I wanted to do with my life and with my career. And so when I graduated from Lakeland, I actually went to another college and got a 4-year degree. And from there, I actually graduated with honors. And then I went on to do various things with some very large companies, culminating with the Coca-Cola Company. And it's all due to my mother's very persistence to get an education. She continued that with both my brother and my sister. We didn't have a whole lot when we were growing up, so the only course was to try and do it yourself, right? When I left Lakeland and decided to go full-time to a larger college, I actually funded it myself by taking out loans, some scholarships, some grants, and I actually did work, although it wasn't really work. You were a dorm counselor, so you just were there available for students. But thanks to Bob Cohen, Tuesday we had lunch, and then we came back here to a class, and I spent some time with students talking about what happened to me as I progressed through my years here at Lakeland and beyond, and where I am today. It was a very enlightening experience with those students. They asked a lot of very good questions. And, I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I think it's a very good experience for those being presented as a Hall of Famer, or those that have been in the Hall of Fame in the past, to come and talk to the students and help them clarify what they need to do to become successful. One of the key items that I got was a business card from one of the board members. And on the back of it has a very appropriate saying, changing lives through learning. And for me, that was so true, because Lakeland really did change my life by learning. And again, thank you very much for this prestigious award. I'm totally flabbergasted, to be honest, to even achieve this award. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Joanne Sarosky, and I'm pleased, very pleased, to be here to induct Barb Caranci tonight to the Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame. I was inducted to the Hall in 2010. Barb graduated from Lakeland's nursing program in 1997. She earned a bachelor's and is now pursuing a Master's of Science in Nursing from St. Joseph's College. She already has a vision in mind for a PhD, so she's not ending anytime soon. So today, she's the manager of the healing services at the Cleveland Clinic Center for Ethics, Humanities, and Spiritual Care. She also serves on the board of directors for American Holistic Nurses Credentialing Corporation. Now, Barb is part of this dedicated team that's changing patient and caregiver experience at the Cleveland Clinic, and so her impact reaches globally. What Barb does is very unique, and she's a pioneer in this area. We didn't realize for years and years that when a patient died, that the caregivers felt loss, that they felt trauma, when there was an untoward outcome, and the nurses get very close to their patients, that they too needed healing. Barb's team, which she really innovated, responds to that need, and we call it a code lavender. It can be called for a caregiver or a family or just a visitor who's having trouble coping or dealing with a traumatic situation. It can be useful in community settings also. This is a very unique, pioneering enterprise foundation element that we have now, and it's because of Barb that we have it. So she really took the Lakeland nursing experience as a foundation, and she built on it, and she continues to innovate techniques and practices that advance the field of nursing and improve the experience of patients, caregivers, and communities, and it's especially during events of trauma. So Barb recently got married to Jason Caranci, and he's here tonight. And Barb, it's my pleasure to induct you into the Hall of Fame tonight. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Joanne. I'm really honored and humbled to get this award. I didn't know it existed till recently. And one of our volunteers in the spiritual care department and my director, Amy Green, nominated me. And that's a lot to say because our reverends and our directors aren't all nurses. So we're not always sure if they understand where we come from and what we do. When I decided to go to Lakeland, I had quit college after a year at Kent State Ashtabula, working a part-time job, working work-study, and paying half of my tuition. And I decided, because I was in an education department and an education program, I really wasn't absolutely sure I wanted to do that. So I just stopped going to college. If it wasn't for Lakeland, I would not have ever probably gone to nursing school at all, and wouldn't have had the access to a program that helped me to build a foundation of my nursing career. Working full-time and going to school was, on the very first day of nursing school, told that's highly not recommended. And now, as I was talking to Bob, when he came to visit me at the Cleveland Clinic, he said there's a very high percentage of non-traditional students. maybe a lot higher than when you went to school. And my message to them is to just keep at it. Being in college now, this late in my career, is still building more and more to my future. If I didn't have that first degree, none of it would have been possible. And having a nursing degree that translates into not only patient care, but care for staff that take care of patients, care for those in the community that take care of each other, is something that I never imagined. And it all came from coming here. I asked a few people to come tonight, and one of them is Kathy Penn, and she's a good friend of mine now. But when I was going to nursing school, I worked full-time, mostly on the weekends, so that I could go to school during the week. And her brother was my best friend, Danny, and he's since passed. But what I wanted to tell you is that without folks helping you, such as driving me to school on Monday morning so I could take a nap after working 16 hours in order to be in a hall like this for a lecture for the next 4, was what helped me. So if I had a message for students today, I would say, don't let anything stop you. Always ask for help and know that you're going to have an impact someday. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Dale Fellows, a member of the Hall of Fame class of 2006. And first, I just want to congratulate all the inductees tonight. It's great to have you as a member of our group. So, and it's my privilege and honor to introduce John Hamercheck as one of the new members of the Hall of Fame. John's a friend of mine, and to the point where I actually drove my wife and I all the way from Colonial Williamsburg today just to be here to make sure that I was back in time to be here. And so George Washington says hello to everybody and wishes us all well here in the Northwest Territories. So those who truly know John Hamercheck sum it up best by saying, John personifies quiet dignity and a consummate professional. He is truly a family man with his wife Susan and their 2 daughters, Diane and Sarah. All are lifelong Lake County residents. John graduated from Lakeland Community College in 1987 with an Associate's of Applied Science majoring in electrical and electronic engineering technology, and he immediately put his Lakeland education to good use, obtaining a position with the Lake County in the telecommunications department, where he was stationed at the Emergency Operations Center right over here adjacent to Lakeland, where his role was to do the build-out of a county-wide radio communication system for all public safety forces in Lake County. Examples of John's character and commitment span the years, and perhaps the most dramatic moment in his life was in 1989, when he was working to find a solution to serious communications problems with the public safety radio system of the day. In October of that year, John was involved in a near-fatal helicopter crash with then county engineer Tom Gillis. They were both life-flighted to Metro General Hospital's Trauma Center in Cleveland. John spent weeks in the burn intensive care unit and has undergone years of reconstructive surgery and physical therapy for his burns and other injuries. To his credit, this incident became a defining moment. Although after very nearly giving his life in the line of duty to improve safety for firefighters and police officers, John still finds it in himself to keep giving. He is truly a unique individual who never complains about adversity and always holds the greater good close to his heart. John Hamercheck has truly made our county a better place. After that time, John started his own communications company, Hamercheck Incorporated, and went on using his Lakeland Community College education and developed a lighting technology that became known as the light emitting condenser. Several thousand of these units and devices were incorporated into medical kits that were used extensively during the Second Gulf War. After the tragic events of 9/11, 2001, John served as an auxiliary police officer for Madison Village and became an auxiliary team leader and community outreach coordinator. In 2003, John was named Madison Village Police Officer of the Year, the first time that award was given to an auxiliary officer. His heroic and creative efforts on several occasions are amazing to read. In 2004, John brought statewide attention to the Madison Village Police Department and the Lakeshore Lodge when he led a child identification program that resulted in over 600 children being photographed and fingerprinted. John and his longtime friend and pilot, Steve Melvin, built 2 children's helicopter rides to introduce youth to medical transport helicopters. One is a depiction of the Life Flight fleet and is now on display at Metro General Hospital, and the other is known as the Kitty Copter and is now at University Hospitals of Cleveland. John has served as an elected member of Madison Village Council from 2006 until he took office as county commissioner here in 2017. He served 4 years as president of council there and was largely influenced the village in getting its debt situation under control and reducing it by 50%. As county commissioner taking office just January 3rd of this year, he's quickly become involved in the County Commissioners Association of Ohio and has been helping trying to reduce costs on the new administration center. He and his 2 colleagues have cut that cost by $13 million, and now John's working on trying to do the same with a future jail project. He's a member of many organizations through his being on the county commission. He was, because of his proven record of leadership and fairness, John was asked to be on the Begin the Conversation group, the purpose of which is to have an open and honest conversation regarding race relations and justice in our community and many other things. Additionally, John has volunteered his time and abilities to various organizations for fundraising and direct assistance programs. He has served as a coordinator for the 4-year project of the Bicycle Ambassador Tour to raise awareness and funds for the Ohio Special Olympics, was a senior project mentor for the Madison High School, a Safety Town volunteer and mentor. He was regularly been a guest speaker and presenter at various civic and educational groups, such as Leadership Lake County, where he regularly speaks to the benefits of Lakeland Community College and its programs, crediting Lakeland for his personal and professional success. And he also volunteers his time as an Awana Bible study teacher at Lifeline Church in Madison, as well as their sound technician. With all of these accomplishments and many more likely to come, when John is asked what his greatest accomplishment in life is, without hesitation, he refers to his 2 daughters, Diane and Sarah. And I'll let John speak about his family. He's got a great story to tell about his family in Lakeland. So I am proud and honored to help induct John Hamercheck as our this year's 2017 Hall of Fame.
Wonderful. Good evening, and thank you. And I truly am sincerely appreciative of this opportunity and honor to be inducted among such wonderful and excellent people. Wow. I will say that my recollection and my perspective, Lakeland College is an institution that exemplifies the concept of you get out of it what you put into it. Lakeland Community College offers more than just an education. They offer a way of thinking and the skill of discerning. That skill of discerning is a catalytic component to one's life that, dare I say, is exemplified when a student's knowledge exceeds the sum total of the educational information they're provided. That same skill is also useful in our daily lives, in our usual vocation, and dare I say, even in our service to God. Lakeland Community College is also a family institution, not just because of generations of families attending here, but because of the variety of ages, everything from post-secondary education to our most senior population. In our family, my mother, who's with us tonight, 91, she was a Lakeland student. I'm also proud to say that I met my beloved wife and soulmate, Susan, here at Lakeland, and we've been together ever since, 35 years. And our two daughters, Diane Elizabeth and Sarah Jane. Diane graduated from Lakeland with her nursing degree. She's gone on to get her bachelor's, and she's working on getting her master's. She has been so impressed by the instructors here at Lakeland. Her master's will be in teaching nursing skills and the nursing arts. Our daughter Sarah, architecture and project management, classes which transferred, oh, by the way, both of our girls took advantage of the post-secondary education program. Great savings of cost, by the way. All transferred to Kent State University. And at the age of 21 years old, Sarah is now a senior in the architecture program and well on her way to being accepted into the master's program. Lakeland Community College also has grown and adjusted and adapted with the times. Take the time to look around this facility. You can see how it has developed and been refreshed. But look at the new buildings we have. You know, one of the fresh first new buildings, I'm showing my age here, was the engineering building, technology, the H building, and now the magnificent build out and the improvements, but also the culture. One of the things that Bob's been pointing out is the sensitivity to getting students to be able to graduate, to be successful. It's truly a family environment, and that is one of Lakeland's greatest strengths as a community college. Lakeland Community College does care about our community. Thank you all.
Good evening. My name is Jane Steger, and I have the delightful honor of inducting David Steger into the Lakeland Hall of Fame. Now, to be part of the Hall of Fame, you have to be pretty great. So I'm just now here to say that it is now public and obviously validated that behind every great man is a, right? But it's not about me tonight. So let me share a little bit about David's background. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011, and David was there for me, so I'm here for him. David graduated from Lakeland in 1975 with an associate's degree in data processing. He received a bachelor's in data processing from the School of Engineering at the Ohio State University in 1977. David's career was primarily focused in IT in the manufacturing industry until he retired 2 years ago in 2015. While attending Lakeland, David served as student government president and commodore of the sailing club. In both roles, he actively promoted Lakeland to fellow students both on and off Lakeland's campus. David went on to become the Commodore of the Ohio State University Sailing Club, Commodore of the Grand River Sailing Club, and co-founder of the Cleveland Sailing Association. Over the past 20 years, David has dedicated countless hours to the Lakeland Civic Band. In addition, he plays with the new Lake Effect Band and serves on the board of directors for the Fine Arts Association in Willoughby. As a former trumpet student of the fine arts, it's fair to say that his affiliation with that organization has been lifelong. David is also actively involved with the Lake Geauga Habitat for Humanity. David, I'm very honored to induct you into the Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame.
I want to thank the Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame Committee for this really unexpected honor. I'm deeply humbled and very, very grateful. I took a tour of the new medical wing yesterday and was amazed with this impressive expansion. But as exciting as this new chapter is for Lakeland, back in the early 70s, things were really electric because Lakeland was for the first time on one campus where virtually everything was groundbreaking and new. My first visit to the college was my senior year at Mentor High School when our jazz ensemble participated in the premiere edition of the Lakeland Jazz Festival. It the spring of 1973. I enrolled a few months later to find Lakeland occupied just 3 connected buildings. The A-wing lobby was furnished with cushioned benches, a bank of pay phones, and 1 large color TV, 1973 technology. Also scattered about were those M&M chairs. How many people remember the M&M chairs? Yeah, okay. They were red, yellow, or orange plastic pods measuring 3 feet in diameter with a seat cut out of one side, theoretically for your lounging comfort. There was no way to get in or out of these with grace or dignity. Next to the lobby was a game room, then the bookstore, and down the hall a cafeteria. Carved out of that game room was a single office for student activities. As a full-time student, I thought that office would be a great place to store my trumpet and books during the day. So I ran for one of the openings on SUBOR, the Student Unit Board of Representatives. To get elected, the challenge was how to convince a transient part-time student to vote for you when there was little chance you would ever meet. To this day, there are folks in Lake County that are confused because I just took one campaign sign and taped it to the bottom of that television screen in the lobby. Now they all associate the name with Steger with the Today Show, soap operas, or Let's Make a Deal. Supporting new clubs, organizing student events, drafting student policy, and managing the student activities budget kept our board busy as the SUBOR agenda was chock full of new initiatives. For example, in '73, the Lakeland Sailing Club successfully campaigned to become the first 2-year school to join the Midwest Collegiate Sailing Association. My brother Steve, who was associate editor of the Lakelander, enjoyed bumping coverage of the usual basketball game off the front page and substituted a great story on Lakeland Community College having a regatta at Menor Harbor Yacht Club with 15 participating schools, including Notre Dame, Michigan, Wisconsin, and the Ohio State University. This is also the first year for the radio station, which started in a humble storage room next to an elevator on the 2nd floor. This hardwired station piped music to a few speakers in the cafeteria to enhance your mealtime experience. Not true radio, but it was a start. We took advantage of the brand new gym to put big concerts on for at least once a quarter for the students. Shows included Mac Davis, Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids, and on a regular basis, our resident artist was Michael Stanley. We would get a one-night liquor permit from the city of Kirtland for each event. Managing this beer garden was easy because we subcontracted the Lakeland Veterans Club to man the beer taps. No one gave any of these Vietnam vets a hard time when they asked for a photo ID. In a small lecture hall on the 2nd floor of A-Wing, we showed Friday night movies. Sometimes a lecture would begin the show. Alan Arkin was on hand one evening to discuss his motivation while directing the movie Little Murders. That same lecture hall was where the wind ensemble class rehearsed. Chuck Frank would bring in non-student ringers to fill out the group for our concerts. In 1975, Lakeland built this performing arts center that you are seated in today. Mr. Frank took advantage of this stage to encourage these ringers to join a Lakeland Civic Band, which is still going strong under the direction now of Dan Crane. I'll be skipping rehearsal tonight, but if you want to listen to them, they'll be down the hall at 7:45 this evening. Yeah. Now, SUBOR was responsible for drafting serious stuff like the student handbook. And this was serious business because it had all kinds of published rules and regulations that pretty much outlined everything a student was expected to do at the college. Now, I thought these rules and regulations needed a little help, so I had an artist friend add cartoon illustrations to break up the text during this long, dry document. For example, we had very strict rules with respect to public intoxication, but you had to have a little sympathy for the cartoon image of a buzzed student slumped on the floor, unable to negotiate a toppled M&M chair. It was a great environment to study music history, mathematics, computer science, all while learning how to manage a budget produce a concert, encourage student clubs, and draft policies. I thank Lakeland for allowing me to take advantage of all these opportunities and building in me a strong foundation that served me very well. I would also like to thank my family and friends that are in attendance tonight, including that old high school band instructor. And finally, I want to express my love and thanks to my fellow alumni, Jane. It was at Lakeland where I met Jane, who in 1986 became my wife, partner, and friend for the last 31 years. Now, you may be surprised to know that Lakeland provided key lessons and training for my marriage as well. For example, I met my ex-wife, Diane, at Lakeland, too. Thank you again.
Was the first wife in the M&M chair, or? My name's Ken Krasalovic. I was inducted 2 years ago, and I'm excited and honored to have nominated and now have the opportunity tonight to induct Diane Rado into the Hall of Fame here at Lakeland. I've known Diane since we were in high school, where she was a top student and a majorette. She didn't bring her baton tonight, but she was good at that too. That was at Euclid High. And then both of us wound up here in the late 70s, and we both had an interest in journalism. And Diane didn't have a car at the time, so we carpooled to get here for a whole year, and we got to be very, very good friends. And you learn a lot about people, and I learned about that I knew she was going to be successful in journalism, and she has done that. At the Lakelander, she was the editor of the paper, and she went on to this great career in journalism. I used journalism to get into sports publicity and public relations, athletic administration eventually. But I'm kind of jealous because she stayed true to the field and has had a great career. She went on to get her undergraduate four-year degree from Bowling Green, got into the premier master's program, the Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern University in Chicago, and she later had a fellowship at University of Michigan. So she is academically at the top of her field. And then when she got into the business, it's taken her around the country. She spent time at the Memphis Commercial Appeal, St. Petersburg Times, Dallas Morning News, and now she's in her second stint at the Chicago Tribune. She's covered politics, government, and the courts, and even the Ku Klux Klan in Mississippi she had the beat for a while when she was at the Memphis paper. Great journalists have guts. She had guts when I knew her in high school and in college and to this day. And I'm sure our journalism professor here, Jean Dent, would have been very proud of what she's done. She has settled in as one of the premier education beat writers in the country. She won the Lissagore Award in 2011 and has been a finalist 3 other times for that education writing award, including this year. She is also honored for her writing by the Texas State Teachers Association, the National Education Writers Association, and the National Women's Political Caucus of Florida. She even spent some time, a little over a year, teaching journalism at Monroe Community College in Rochester, New York. With her husband, Pete, she created and managed a weekly newspaper which they used from 2007 to 2010 to mentor high school students about writing and reporting. She only wrote one sports story in her career, and it was when she was the editor here, and it was about the Lakeland hockey team, which won the championship, and I was fortunate enough to score the winning goal in overtime over Case Western Reserve. My teammate Dale Fellows, you've met him already tonight. So I have a copy. I actually kept about 100 of them, but I brought her one where she was the editor, and the top of the sports page is the headline story of the Lakeland Icers League champs. So she can take that back. You can show this to your editor at the Tribune. Maybe you'll get a gig doing the Cubs or something. Congratulations, Diane Rado. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
I want to see that.
You got it, kiddo. Go get them.
Oh, I'm so happy right now. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. This is such an honor. I have to say that in the 7th grade, before 8th grade, I biked up to the Euclid Public Library almost every day and read books. I would sit amongst the bookshelves and just read for most of the day. And I finally found a historical fiction book, and it talked about a newspaper reporter. And it was like a light bulb came out. I just said, that's it. I'm going to be a newspaper reporter. Of course, I had no idea how this was all going to come about, but I have to say that it started here at Lakeland. After Ken drove me to Lakeland every day, it was not a carpool, it was Ken drove me. So Ken introduced me to the Lakelander staff, and I ultimately did become the editor of the newspaper. And a shout out in heaven to Gene Dent, because Gene Dent was our newspaper advisor, and I loved Mr. Dent. I remember when I was on a serious deadline, and it had something to do with a faculty union thing or maybe a contract situation, and I was there and I was reporting it, but I was on deadline and I just was not coming up with a lead or anything, and Mr. Dent just said, sit down right next to me. Tell me what you heard and what you saw. And he just batted out. Pretty much Mr. Dent wrote the whole story. But, and so today, and it was printed, and I learned enormously from him. And to this day, when I work with young reporters who, if we're double bylining on something, I always say, sit right next to me. We're going to work this out together. And so loved Mr. Dent. It was, and of course, Mr. Dent did go to BGSU. And so when I went on from Lakeland with my associate's degree, I said, okay, if Mr. Dent went to BGSU, I'm going to go as well. And I did. And because I had been the editor of the newspaper, I was able to get on the staff at the BG News. And that was a paid staff situation at that point. So it was really an honor to be able to catapult from the Lakeland Community College editor to the 4 years newspaper. I had a newspaper advisor there too who said, when it stops being fun, get out. Well, I've never gotten out. It's been 35 years as a newspaper reporter, and it's been an adventure of my life. My mother, who is sitting here, always said, get out of the house and see the world. Is Joyce Rado here? She's 80. She's not 91 or 92, but Joyce Rado is 80. And along with my sister and, of course, my husband. If you're a journalist, you pretty much have to marry a journalist. And Pete has been at my side for 31 years. We've had such adventures. We've lived in many states, from Florida, covering the Capitol. Pete was a sports editor, to New York, to Illinois, to Texas. It's been an adventure of a lifetime. And we dragged all 3 kids with us. They never complained. They had fun. They got to go into the governor's mansion. They just had a ball. And so I really cherish the Lakeland experience, because it really launched my dream. And I want to also shout out to community colleges. My husband and I are both a huge fan. Pete, I think you went to, was it 3 or 4 community colleges? Pete? 3. Pete, Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, Pete went to 3 different community colleges. I went to Lakeland at one time or other. My 3 kids also went to this College of DuPage, which is right up our street in the Chicago suburban area. I'm a big fan. I am an education writer, and I do K through 12, but the continuum, of course, includes higher education. And I believe, like Bernie Sanders does, that it should be free, particularly for community colleges. I would be happy to pay more income, sales, or property taxes to have free community college. And I support it, as I've covered so many education stories, when I see kids who are not getting a good ACT or SAT score, they have a place to go, to thrive, to dream. And so I will always be a fan of my Lakeland experience and all of yours and everybody who's gone to a community college. We need to cherish that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
First of all, let me offer congratulations to all the inductees this evening. Congratulations, well deserved from all I've heard here this evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rich Ifelis, and I'm a member of the Lakeland Foundation Board of Directors. For those of you who don't know the foundation, we work for Bob Kahan. Oh, hi, Bob's in the front row, right here. And I know several members of the family are here this evening, so I say this with humility that this is a great honor to induct Connie Snyder into the Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame. Connie graduated from Notre Dame Academy in 1981 and earned her associate's degree in business administration from Lakeland in 1984. She also pursued additional classes at Kent State and Lake Erie College. Connie embodied the spirit and the underlying principles of the Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame. Her impact on the community and the region is continued to be felt to this day. Connie enjoyed a great career in marketing at CT Consultants, consulting engineering firm and mentor, where she worked for over 20 years. You see, I worked with Connie for those 20 years. And it's often seen, co-workers become your second family. Well, Con, as we used to call her, was just that for many of us working at CT. In her role with our firm, Connie was responsible for helping our clients obtain millions of dollars of federal, state, and local funding for the design and construction of needed capital improvements, including downtown revitalization, parks and recreations, projects, roadways, bridges, and even more. They were all benefiting many of the municipalities right here in Lake County and Northeast Ohio, as well as communities throughout the state and Midwest. In addition to her career, she was also an impactful and committed, as you would say, she would say, professional volunteer. Lakeland Community College is the learning center right here, and the Kirtland School District were fortunate to benefit from her generous time and her loyal advocacy. She also ran her husband, John Snyder's Board of Education campaign for the Kirtland Local School Board. She did quite well. John won the election. Connie was a loving wife to John, her husband of 28 years, as well as a caring mother to her son, Brad, who's here this evening, and her daughter, Lauren. Connie was taken from us April 29th of this year, shortly after becoming ill. While her time on earth was 54 years, she lived by the adage, "It is not the years in your life, but the life in your years that counts." This world, our region, and local communities much better off thanks to Connie. I know Connie is looking down on us here today as I say, it is with great pleasure to induct Connie Snyder into Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Rich, for those kind words. And Diane, I think you owe some gas money to somebody for that whole year. I don't know what year that was, but I think gas was 29 cents a gallon back then. So we can do the math, and you guys can settle up afterwards. A little levity, obviously, honor to be speaking on Connie's behalf here. Thanks, Rich, for those kind words. Really, truly appreciated. On behalf of Connie's family, this is truly an honor to be inducted, for her to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. We'd like to thank the Lakeland Community College, but also the Hall of Fame Committee and also the foundation as well. You know, Connie was truly a proud Lakeland graduate, and also, in addition to her career in marketing for over 20 years at CT, she was truly a professional volunteer. And when she would get interviewed, when we were at Cleveland Clinic in her earlier this past year, they would say occupation. She would say professional volunteer, and that's what she was. She truly, in her lifetime, in her activity outside of work, was truly involved in everything in the community that she could get her hands on, and she did a great job with that. Truly had an impact, and not only in her past, but as we look to what she was going to do in the future. You know, with our daughter Lauren going to the Ohio University, no offense, we were the first one in Ohio in fall, yes. And our son Brad, about to graduate from Tiffany University in spring and embark on a career in marketing. We talked about, what do you want to do next? And she talked about a variety of things, from working at Cleveland Clinic to Rainbow's Children's to helping the children there. Even a volunteer role with the foundation, which I think she would have been great at. You know, she would have had an impact, and I think really enjoyed it as well. But that just kind of shows who Connie was. You know, she was always looking to utilize her skills and help the community, you know, help the region. And, you know, as Rich says, she was truly taken from us way too early and way too soon. But her legacy will continue to live on, and that'll live on through our children. Brad and Lauren, and all the great things they're going to do, not only now, but in the future, but also through this great honor of being involved and honored by Lakeland, and also the impact she had in the community, in the region as well. And so with that, I really want to thank the community, the foundation, the induction committee, and Lakeland as well, for bestowing on Connie and giving us this opportunity to continue to remember her legacy as we continue on here. So thank you again very much.
Good evening, everybody. What wonderful and heartfelt stories we've heard tonight from all of these inductees. My name is Ken Quiggle. I serve on the Board of Trustees here at Lakeland and on the Lakeland Foundation Board of Directors. Tonight we have State Senator John Eklund and Lake County Commissioner Dan Troy here. We've asked them to join us on stage to present proclamations to the 6 honorees. Tonight's inductees will be receiving proclamations from our Lake County Commissioners, the House of Representatives, the Ohio House of Representatives, and the Ohio Senate. Gentlemen.
I don't know exactly how to do this, but I'm going to just do it sort of en masse, if it's all the same, in the interest of time and everybody's patience. I want to thank you, first of all, so very much for allowing me to be with you tonight. This is a great moment for a lot of people and a lot of families, and in my line of business, it's kind of easy sometimes to feel like kind of an intrusion, if you know what I mean. But I don't feel that way when I come to Lakeland. And I'm not only pleased to be here for you folks, but there's not that many opportunities that I have to be someplace where there are so many people smiling. And that's a wonderful thing. I thought I would try to say something that would establish or articulate kind of a unifying theme for all of these individuals and the wonderful things that they've done with their education here from Lakeland. And it's not an easy task. It's a little daunting because of the, of course, very diverse nature of their endeavors and their backgrounds and what they've done and what they will continue to do. But I believe that the one thing that I could come up with quickly that sort of is in common among all of them is the extent to which they took what they did in their pre-Lakeland days and in their Lakeland days, and they turned it into an endeavor of sharing, where you have people, successful business people, sharing their lessons and helping others who are in business develop their particular talents. Nursing, what more sharing and nurturing profession could there possibly be, and in such a unique way? But it's a sharing of something that was given to her. You have an engineer who serves as a community police officer. How about that, right? Who takes steps out of the box, out of their little box, and serves the community in a way that nobody would really particularly think about. Or an engineer who serves as an advisor and an advocate for the arts here in Lake County. And how about that for a demonstration of promoting what I call, maybe it's an out-of-date term anymore, but a liberal arts education, one that blends the sciences and the arts and draws from both to better their community. A practitioner and advocate for the First Amendment. How about that for sharing with the community? Sharing with the community something without which, and without a full appreciation for which, we don't deserve the privilege of self-governance. But we've got a Hall of Famer here who did that for their community. Marketers who call themselves professional volunteers, professional but never paid a dime, and professional not so much from here but from here. How about that for sharing with the community? Well, we have the proclamations here from the Senate and from the House of Representatives down in Columbus. I'm not going to read them to you, but they certainly celebrate all of these achievements and all of this sharing and everything that has been discussed tonight. But I believe, and I trust there are those among you who would agree with me, that one's legacy in this world is made not so much by what you do as by how you do it. And the real unifying theme here tonight, it seems to me, what really makes all of these individuals Hall of Famers, not just at Lakeland, but in life, is that each of them has and continues to do what they do with an abiding sense of decency, integrity, and responsibility. That's what has enabled them all to make a difference. That's what helps Lakeland Community College to make a difference. And that's what the documents which we have for you tonight truly proclaim. Congratulations to you all, and thank you again so much for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. Of course, this is the 50th anniversary of Lakeland Community College, and I'm proud to have been somewhat involved in the history of this college for a majority of those 50 years. Certainly have enjoyed working with the individuals who have been in charge of this college over those many years, whether it's on changing policies, on credit articulation, and allowing some of these Lakeland graduates to go on to higher educational opportunities and have those credits transfer, which didn't used to happen a lot. And certainly working on some of the buildings that John cited here that have come up over the years. But, let's talk about this concept in honoring these people tonight of a community college. What happened is the citizens of this community created a community college. And what happens then is the community makes an investment in the citizens of its community through that college. Tonight we see a great return that's been received on an investment that the citizens of Lake County had made in these citizens in their earlier years. And what we also see here is that all of these individuals have absorbed that community spirit and have given back to their community in so many ways. Whether it's David, in his work through the Fine Arts Association, working with the Lakeland Band and Habitat for Humanity, Diane, as a journalism minor in college, and I was news editor of my school paper at Dayton, but I never got anywhere with it like you did, so I ended up in some other sordid profession. But certainly, I think we all should truly value the importance of print journalism. I think we were a better country when people got most of their information through print journalism, because print journalists are balanced. They make sure they have all of the facts. Everything is checked before it gets out there, and it's probably the most accurate information you can get. And thank you for what you're doing. I think we really value your profession. I certainly do. And as an investigative reporter, which is something that a lot of people in government don't like, I think they're invaluable investigative reporters, because they make sure that the public knows exactly what's going on. So thank you for your effort, Diane, as a journalist. I knew Connie Snyder when she was a young girl, daughter of my current county commissioner at the time, Jack Platts. And I can't think of anyone, who had a brighter, happier personality than Connie. She was kind of the gatekeeper at CT Consultants, to keep people from getting up there and bothering Frank Federico or Tom Colpetzer. Or she'd say, Mr. Federico has been waiting for you. And so, but Connie was just a joy to have befriended, and certainly her contribution back to her community, what she did for the children of the city of Kirtland and that school district is an investment that she made in her short period here on this earth that will pay dividends for years and years to come. Barb, your effort to deal with healing and the complexities of medical science today at the Cleveland Clinic is invaluable. We know we get a lot of rhetoric in the news about healthcare instead of, but it's people like Barb who are on the front line that make sure that people's needs are addressed. So thank you for all of you done. Craig, for your work at Coca-Cola, and certainly not only have you been very successful there, but you have given back to your community either by educating young professionals on how to succeed in the business world, or giving back to your community through various boards and commissions. So thank you. And finally, my colleague, John Hamercheck, who successfully was educated here at Lakeland, is now finishing his education as a county commissioner under my tutelage. And he's making progress. And But certainly, again, John has shown, as explained here earlier, that he has also given back to his community, certainly in public office. I just think that, folks who step forward and serve the public, whether it's at the city level, whether it's the county level, whether it's the school board level, whether it's the township level, here and there we get beat up a little bit, but certainly we need folks that do step forward, and I think we need more people to step forward and get more involved in their communities. So I just want to say that what this has been, as I said earlier, this has been a great investment by the Lake County community through Lakeland Community College in thousands of students over the years, and we have a great example here of 6 people who have really shown a tremendous return on that investment and continue to give back to their community because of what they learned and experienced here at Lakeland. So thank you very much, and congratulations to all of you.
Thanks, Commissioner Troy and Senator Eklund, for being here, and thanks so much for recognizing our inductees. On behalf of the Lakeland Foundation Board of Directors, congratulations again to our 6 inductees. Our thanks also to the Lakeland Alumni and Friends Network, and especially to Dale Fellows for all the extraordinary work it continues to do. Thank you to all the members of the Hall of Fame from past years for being here with us this evening. It means a lot to have your support. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the staff of the Lakeland Foundation who made all of this happen. Jen Smizer, who coordinates the Alumni and Friends Network. Lori Principe, Tracy Morris Nolan, and Nancy Brooks. Let's give them a round of applause. And thanks to all the rest of you who are here being part of this wonderful evening. There are more hors d'oeuvres in the gallery, and the bar, I understand, is open until 8:30. Everyone is invited to stay and congratulate our inductees and just enjoy the evening. This concludes the 2017 Lakeland Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Thank you.